Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamanu Hari Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Garim Tat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurundina Tarane Krishna Tvadiya Padapankaja Panjarantam Adhyaiva Me Visatu Manasarajansan Prana Prayama Samaye Kapavata Pittai Kantavaro Dhanavido Smaranam Kritaste. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, text 2, is that right? 3. Must be 3 and 4, huh? Right? The marker is there, but it's at the bottom of the page. It's 2 verses. Okay. Ye tu aksharam anirdisham avyaktam paripasate sarvatra gam achintyam cha bhutastam achalam dhruvam. Let there be light. Saniyam Indriya Gramam Sarvatra Samabudaya Te Prapnuvanti Mam Eva Sarvabhuta Hite Rataha Ye Tvaksharam Nirdesham Avyaktam Paryupasate Sarvatragam Achintyam Cha Kutastam Achalam Dhruvam Saniyam Yendriyam Gramam Sarvatra Samabudaya Te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hite rataha. Okay, anyone else? Hite rataha Tvaksharam Nirdesham Vyaktam Paryupasate Sarvadagama Chintyam Cha Kutastam Achalam Dhruvam Samyam Yamjaya Gramam Sarvatra Samabudaya Te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hite rataha. Ye tvaksharam nirdesham sarvatpasate sarvatragam achintyam cha kutastam achalam dhruvam Saniyam Indriya Gramam Sarvatra Samabudaya Te Prapnuvanti Mameva Sarvabhuta hite rataha. Anyone else? Yetvaksharam anirdesham avyaktam parayupasate sarvatagam achintyam cha kutastam achalam dhruvam saniyam yandriya gramam sarva samabhututaya ye prapnuvanti mameva sarva bhuta hite rataha. And when Prabhupada was giving class, there was really enthusiasm to chant the Sanskrit, right? Everybody wanted to chant. Maybe because Prabhupada liked it so much. Now I see like it fizzles out really quick. No, but even every time, wherever I go, it's like few people and then it's over. But Prabhupada's time, everybody wanted to chant. Yea, those who, two, but, aksharam, that which is beyond the perception of the senses, anirdesham, indefinite, avyaktam, unmanifested, parayupasate, completely engaged in worshipping, sarvachagam, all-pervading, achintyam, inconceivable, cha, also, kutastam, unchanging, achalam, immovable, dhruvam, fixed, saniyamya, controlling, indriyagramam, all the senses, sarvatra, everywhere, samabudaya, equally disposed, te, they, prapnuvanti, achieve, mam, me, me, eva, certainly, sarvabhuta hite, for the welfare of all living beings, rataha, engage. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which is beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the Absolute Truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons, engaged in the welfare of all, at last achieve me. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Those who do not directly worship the Supreme Godhead Krishna, but who attempt to achieve the same goal by indirect process, also ultimately achieve the same goal. Sri Krishna, after many births, a man of wisdom seeks refuge in me, knowing that Vasudeva is all. When a person comes to full knowledge after many births, he surrenders unto Lord Krishna. If one approaches the Godhead by the method mentioned in this verse, he has to control the senses, render service to everyone, and engage in the welfare of all beings. It is inferred that one has to approach Lord Krishna, otherwise there is no perfect realization. Often there is much penance involved before one fully surrenders to him. In order to perceive the supersoul within the individual soul, one has to cease the sensual activities of seeing, hearing, tasting, working, etc. Then one comes to understand that the Supreme Soul is present everywhere. Realizing this, one envies no living entity. He sees no difference between man and animal because he sees soul only, not the outer covering. But for the common man, this method of impersonal realization is very difficult. So Krishna is not condemning that, but he's saying it's very difficult. And it's also mentioned, I think, later that it's very difficult to give up. If someone gets some impersonal, maybe they give up sense gratification, they get some kind of happiness, and it's very difficult to give up unless they get the mercy of a pure devotee. So you see these words like, just something. The Buddha is saying like nothing, they're just trying to think of nothing. And then they're trying to think of something that is inconceivable and indescribable and unknowable and unseeable, and so it's very, very difficult. But someone may, if they're sincere, they keep trying. Their goal is to achieve the Supreme, although they don't know what the Supreme is. And they will get the mercy, the Super Soul will give them the mercy of meeting a devotee, somehow or other, hearing the truth. And it's a very difficult process and not recommended. Krishna is saying it's very, very difficult over and over again. And Arjuna asked this question for our benefit, which is better. Because the Mayavadis have an idea. I remember when I don't know why, but somehow I wanted to read the Bhagavad Gita. I was in college. I don't know how I even heard of the Bhagavad Gita. So I went to the bookshop, and I used to buy a lot of books, and I was looking through different Bhagavad Gitas, and somehow I decided that none of them were good translations, although I knew nothing about the Bhagavad Gita. So there was a book called How to Know God. It was supposed to be the Patanjali, so I got that one. And that was Mayavadi, and it said that bhakti is easy. It's for the weakling, the stupid. It's a simple, easy process. The real thing is this impersonal, tapasya thing. I was thinking, well, I'll do that. I'm a tough guy. But it didn't last very long. Somehow or other, later I met devotees, and I realized it's probably good I didn't get one of those bad Bhagavad Gitas and study it, because they're very misleading. They're not really Bhagavad Gitas, these Mayavadis. They just write their own book, but they put the name, they put the slokas. Prabhupada said the slokas are okay. Even when he was trying to get his Bhagavad Gita together, sometimes for the sloka, he would tell Hayagriva, just copy Dr. Radhakrishna's sloka. It's all right, It's the purports that they can't do. But Hayagriva would say, well, that's plagiary or something, and we can't do that. And it was difficult. He was trying to get it quick because he didn't know how long he would live. He was on his way to India. But the Bhakti Yoga process is simple, but it's not so easy to really do it, because we have to give up the false ego. We have to become 100% service attitude to really achieve bhakti. So it's not so easy. We're very much attached to the misconceptions, who I am. We want to be served. We want to get something back for our service. But to fully achieve bhakti, one has to fully surrender, 100%. But the process is very sublime, so if one can somehow desire that and then stick to it, stick to the process, then gradually we actually get purified. The holy name is so powerful, purifying force. There's nothing more to be, we sing every morning, right? That the holy name is completely pure, and in the other song, Jiv Jago Bhakti, there's nothing else in the 14 worlds except the holy name, because the holy name is Krishna, and he's kindly given that process. So along with other things we do to keep busy, so many different services according to our different propensities. Someone is an artist, someone's building a temple, someone's collecting money, someone's chanting, singing, dancing, making whatever. We have to chant the holy name. And that's a special gift of Lord Nityananda. Golokara Premadana, Harinama Sankirtana. This holy name has come down from Goloka. It's not a product of the material world. It's also inconceivable. Cricket asks like that, how can the letters are in the alphabet, the same sounds, the same letters that make up all kinds of other words. So why is the Hare Krishna something special, right? But that's Krishna, and so he does like that. Lord Chaitanya asked why the prasadam is so much different than the same vegetables and rice. It's not offered to Krishna. That's it. Because Krishna is there. So when we're chanting Krishna, but chanting without offense, chanting for the pleasure of the Lord, or doing whatever we're doing as service, 100%. As much as we get a service attitude, then we can develop love for Krishna. I was just talking to Gargamuni, and he was saying how some young devotees were there and they wanted to know their siddhadeya, or whatever you call it, their swarup. And they didn't want to hear anything else. They said they're ruined by certain people. And Lord Chaitanya, what did he say about the swarup? Huh? Yeah, but specifically he said, what is the swarup of the living entity? To Sanatana Goswami. Huh? You know the Bengali? Yeah, you got it. Jivara Swarpoi Nichara Krishna Das. The eternal Swarup of the Jiva is the eternal servant of Krishna. How you're serving Krishna, that we don't care. Whatever Krishna wants. Right? Should be. That's the service attitude. That's advanced. Maybe in the beginning, when I joined, we used to have that word dovetail all the time. There's something in carpentry where you put the wood together and it comes like a tail or something, and different pieces come into one place. So you can take your material propensities and you can do that for Krishna. That's one level. And Prabhupada would ask people, what do you want to do? What do you like to do? What do you... And he would engage them in that way for their own benefit, because they can work, easily do the job. But when somebody's really surrendered or more, then he would just say, you do this, you do that. And, whether they wanted to do it or not. I don't like to do that, but Prabhupada said to do it, so we'll do it. Prabhupada said, like as if in military discipline. When you're in the military, in whatever they tell you to do, you have to do it. Otherwise, what do? They put you in the jail, or they beat you up, or something, right? And they test people. We went, everybody that tries to be a devotee, there's many tests. You really want to be a devotee, right? That's what it's all about, all the difficulties. And the more someone is, trying to be a devotee or more sincere, there might be more and more trouble. But the trouble is taken as a challenge, or, here comes Krishna as a test. I heard about some guy in the army. So one sergeant would come and say, you dig a hole here, this big, so deep, so wide. So he's digging and digging, another one comes, we're stupid, what are you doing? Why are you digging a hole? Fill it up. But if you say, the other guy told me to do it, they get mad. So he fills it up, then the other guy comes back, I told you to dig a hole. So dig it again. But if he does it, then they say, okay, he's a good guy. Give him a promotion. So we all went through things like that in Krishna consciousness. So it's not so easy. Like they'll say bhakti is for grandmothers and young children, and just talk about Krishna's pastimes, talk about the butter thief and all that. Anybody can, that's easy. But it's the highest thing also. And to do it only that, it's not so easy. We see that, even we're in Vrindavan. There's so many other things going on. But this impersonal path, only if someone's fortunate. It's a little bewildering sometimes. In other chapters it also says like that one who sees it, there's a difference between the personal and impersonal. That's wrong. Because Prabhupada explains, because the goal is the same. They're trying to get to the Supreme, all they don't know. When Gajendra, he tried to fight, because he was enjoying. He was the king of the elephants. He had many girl elephants, many children, and the other animals are afraid of the elephants. And he was enjoying. But then the crocodile got him by the foot, and no matter how much he fought, no matter how much the other elephants tried to help him, nobody could help him. Because they were in the water, and the other elephants couldn't come in the water and fight. But somehow or other, in desperation, he remembered to pray. From his previous life, he was a human king. He had some prayers that he would say regularly, so somehow he remembered them, and he just started praying, and he picked up a lotus flower and he offered it. But he didn't have any idea what of Vishnu or anything. He just knew there's something to pray to. But then Vishnu came, because he gave nice prayers. So like that, and we see many of us were, if we were trying to find some spiritual idea, if you're reading different books, everything is Mayavadi, everything was impersonal. Tinged up with Buddhism, or just plain Mayavadi. It's all one. When the Beatles said, I am you and you are me and we are all together, even the Beatles were promoting Mayavadi because they heard from that Mayavadi guru, many of them. But then when Prabhupada came along, and he gave the real thing, and he defeated all the Mayavadi arguments perfectly. And then so many people took shelter. And chanting the holy name, get purified of the Mayavadi misconceptions and of the material attachments. But it's an ongoing process. You can never think, okay, now I've chanted enough. We've heard that sometimes, right? Everybody said, I've done that enough now. I went to Mangalartik so many times. I did so much service. I did so many Sankirtan. I did this, I did that. I don't have to do it anymore. And then shortly they have to do something. Can't just do nothing. Like they go back to the first is the Mayavadi idea. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to exist. Because they're suffering so much, there's by speculation. They have no information of spiritual world or spiritual relationships, spiritual loving relationships. They've just been burned out by every relationship, been cheated by everything, been knocked here and there. Prabhupada said they're like the football. I think in that case he meant the soccer, not American football. He gets kicked, and while he's flying through the air, he's thinking, wow, I'm just flying through the air, this is great. And as soon as he comes down, he gets kicked again. But then when he's up in the air, he's thinking, oh, I'm just flying, look at me. Nobody is enjoying like I am. So that's how it is in Maya. Maya gets hold of him, and she doesn't always come. And actually, I saw one cartoon. Well, in this case, it was like a boxing match, and then one side was Maya, and it was some huge, like Rakshasa-looking thing. And the guy was saying, well, I thought Maya was like a beautiful woman. But Maya comes in whatever way will get you. Come on. You can be happy, you can enjoy, nobody will catch you, you can do this. You can just chant and you'll be saved. Come with me. She tries all kinds of anything as soon as one turns away from Krishna. Maya will never take precedence and stand in front of, between you and Krishna. She's behind. But if we turn away from Krishna, then she's in front of us. Right? Just like your shadow. If you're facing the sun, you don't see your shadow, but as soon as you turn away from the sun, then you see the shadow. So Maya's like that. She's Shishti Stiti Pralaya Sadhana Shaktireka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga. Chaya means a shadow. She's waiting, and if we turn away from Krishna for any reason, we don't want to serve, we don't chant, and we don't associate with devotees, and Maya's right there, come with me. And she can be very attractive, whatever it is that we like. So, better to have a personal relationship with Krishna. And how do we develop that? Is by personal relationships with devotees, serving devotees. In so many ways, that's important. Vaishnav Seva, Lord Chaitanya said. Vaishnav Seva Nama Sankirtan, Dui Pabe Shigre, Shri Krishna Charan. And these two things, Dui Pabe, two things only, Vaishnav Seva and Nama Sankirtan. And he puts Vaishnav Seva first. Then Dui Pabe Shigre. You know what Shigre means? You never heard Sridhar Maharaj? Subhasa Shigram? It means quick. So he would tell people when they're hesitating to become life members, Subhasa Shigram, do it quick. If it's auspicious, do it quick. So he says, very quickly, Dui Pabe Shigram, very quickly you'll get Sri Krishna Charan, you'll get the lotus feet of Krishna, very quickly. By these two things, but that means really doing it, not sometimes. Devotees will ask about japa. The japa is not just the 2 hours that we're chanting 16 rounds, or however long it takes us, or that how many rounds we're chanting, but it's, it depends. How well we can chant depends on what we do the rest of the time. If we're very busy serving, or we're, studying or chanting sloka, or reading Krishna, talking Krishna Katha, then chanting becomes very easy. But we have to find the time and space to really concentrate. Only chanting, not inattentive chanting. The different kinds of inattentive chanting are described. Distracted, doing something else at the same time. One devotee told me, well, I can't chant my rounds because devotees are calling me up all the time. I said, well, turn off your phone. Oh, but I can't do that. Even I saw they had a thing about sleep. In America, you see, every time I went for a japa walk in America, I would see a sleep clinic. I was just in Delhi or someplace. One had opened there, the first sleep clinic or something. People can't sleep. Prabhupada said their minds are so disturbed they can't sleep. So they go and try to learn how to sleep without, drugs. And they tell people, well, turn off your 2 telephones and your computer and television. Oh, but I can't do that. They're so worried that somebody might call them or something might happen, so they can't even sleep. But you see the homeless guys are sleeping right next to the highway where there's so much noise, and they're completely peaceful. They don't worry. Of course, they may be drugged out, but so if we have a personal relationship with devotees, and then that helps with our relationship with the spiritual master, and then with Krishna. How we're relating to the spiritual master is how we're relating to Krishna. Sakshat Hari is the same. Krishna's representative. Can't jump over But the spiritual master is pleased when we have good relationships with devotees. And when he's pleased, everything goes nice. Yasya prasada bhagavat prasada. Right? Yasya prasada nagati. If we're not following, not pleasing the spiritual master, then there's chaos. So if we're quarreling amongst devotees, we're criticizing devotees, we're going to have trouble chanting. And I've seen sometimes people do, then they blame the devotees. Well, I can't chant because this devotee, that devotee, because this, that. And then they go away. And they may go away thinking, oh, these devotees are all no good, I can't stay around them. But Prabhupada said actually they're being kicked out by Krishna, because they don't appreciate devotees. So we need to get together like this and discuss Bhagavad Gita. A very powerful, very important book. I have to thank Parvati Prabhu for keeping this class going and organizing all the time. It should be Prabhupada had it in every temple. I remember one time, I think only one time I ever went in the garden in Los Angeles, and big noise came from the temple room. Prabhupada said, what's that? Because sometimes he didn't like noise. And they said, that's Pradyumna giving Bhagavad Gita class. We'll go stop it. Prabhupada said, no, don't stop that. He didn't want to stop that Bhagavad Gita class. He wanted it to go on. So we're distributing so many Bhagavad Gitas, but it's not only for that, it's for reading, relishing, and teaching. Every devotee should be able to teach Bhagavad Gita. It's not that hard. When I first went to the temple a few times, I would hear the devotees preaching, and I was really blown out, and I was thinking, boy, I wish I could talk like that. I wish, but and then one day somebody asked me something, I guess because somebody was new, I'd been there 3 times. So I just said, well, in the Bhagavad Gita it says something, whatever it was. And another devotee, oh, you spoke so great, it's so wonderful. I said, all I did was just say exactly the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, it was so great, you're so wonderful. Okay, so I'm still trying, we just repeat. People will say, what's you Hare Krishnas, you can't think for yourself, you only repeat what you heard from your guru. Right? You ever heard that? And one devotee I know, he was studying at Oxford. And in Oxford, you get like a guru, you have to mentor, and you have to surrender like anything. And you have to do it the way they want to do it. And it's very personal. And he told him, you're not speculating, you're just repeating your guru. You have to speculate. So the devotees, you can talk to them like Krishna Chaitanya Maharaj. It's not for everybody to try to do that academic stuff, because they have to look like they're speculating without speculating. They have to write and speak in such a way that the other people, they think you're speculating, that it's something completely different, but it's not. It's got to be the same. It's not like anybody can do that. But the parampara means we just repeat, and not like a parrot. We have to repeat in our own words, everybody has their own personality and their way of, that's why it's so wonderful. And we're supposed to study in groups because we can learn from any devotee. They all have, Krishna reveals himself differently to everybody. So it's always good to be with other devotees and learn, even if they're brand new devotees. Sometimes we get some great realizations from them because they're coming out of Maya. They really realize things, like you can all remember when we first chanted or first read the Bhagavad Gita, how, it's how it was really like the sun coming up, Now sometimes we think, well, maybe I should read something else. And many do, they abandon the Bhagavad Gita thinking they're getting some higher something. But The Bhagavad Gita is Krishna. You can't be higher than that. Just depends on the Krishna reveals according to the reader. He reveals himself in different ways. So bhakti means, like this chapter is called Bhakti Yoga, and definitely stresses. For one who takes this up is not bereft of anything else. Just simply by chanting, all the 9 processes of bhakti can be accomplished just by chanting. But that means like Haridas Thakur is chanting or something, fully attentive. Bhakti Siddhanta wrote that some people say, well, Haridas Thakur, he was only chanting all the time, so he was missing out on all kinds of rasas, all kinds of higher things. He said actually he was chanting in such a level that he was experiencing everything, every kind of rasa all the time. He was right with Krishna all the time, and most intimately to be able to chant all the time. It means Krishna stays with you. So that's what we want. So by association with devotees, by coming together, we can get more encouraged to chant. So I thank Parvati for asking me to speak, because otherwise it's so easy to get distracted from Bhagavad Gita. But Bhagavad Gita, we cannot overestimate the importance of it and of distributing it. It's changing the world in so many ways. The numbers of Bhagavad Gitas being distributed now are so phenomenal. And so that's having a big effect on the consciousness of the planet, even all over the planet. So many Bhagavad Gita. People are reading it, people are inquiring, they want to know. Even in China, so many people are asking for Bhagavad Gita. The yoga schools, they made this Bhagavad Gita course. They get they pay, and they get and they're demanding devotees to come and teach. They really want it. And I asked in one class, I said, why did you come to this class? And they all wanted something more. One said, well, there's many yoga schools here, but they only teach asanas. That's not real yoga. We want to know the real thing. And so they all buy Bhagavad Gitas, and they're very attentive. And that's not only in China, but it's happening everywhere. Because it's the Bhagavad Gita as it is. It's, Krishna says, Bhava Mad Bhakto. Before Prabhupada came, there were many Bhagavad Gitas, and nobody became devotees. People did read it. People hear about it in college and stuff, but when they read Prabhupada's Gita, people are becoming devotees, because it is the real Bhagavad Gita. Yata Rupa, Taka Yaka Yes, Agamana Uta. We have so many, right? As it is. Without changing, without putting my own philosophy in the name of Krishna. And that's very demoniac. One devotee I know, he got his master's degree in Bhagavad Gita. So he had a lot of collection of different Bhagavad Gitas he had to read to make commentary and stuff. And the things that they say are just so absurd you can't believe it. But he was telling me, unbelievable. One guy studied the Sanskrit, and his thing was that 3 different people spoke the Bhagavad Gita. Because a different Sanskrit or different something, different grammar. That's Krishna, he's unlimited, So when he talks about Jnana, when he talks about karma, he talks different, because he's talking to different audience. But he's Krishna. He's the source of all the languages. But they don't believe in Krishna, but they like Bhagavad Gita. Very strange. So we just hope they can meet devotees also, or they will read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, see what he has to say. And we can get them to chant. Because chanting is the most important. That's what purifies the heart, clears out the mind, and gives us intimate association with Krishna. So any comments? Anybody catch anything there that they liked or didn't like? Or any questions? Yeah. Microphone. Today I knew for sure I'm in India. Somebody stole my shoes right outside the store. My shoes. Gauradas also. We came in for the prasadam here and went out. Stupid to leave them out. But there were many out there, so we thought, yeah, we'll just... All right?
Thank you for the class. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Just hold the microphone straight, you know.
Okay, yeah. You mentioned that japa is not just the 2 hours you sit down and chant Hare Krishna. It depends also on what you do outside of japa. So some devotees might be engaged in doing full-time service, distributing books, doing all kinds of activities for Krishna's pleasure. But during their japa, they might fall asleep, and then someone else might be, not falling asleep during their japa and, perceivably chanting attentive rounds, but outside of that, not maybe engaging so much in Krishna's service. So I wondered if you could comment on when you see, when that is experienced.
Hare Krishna. Anybody want to comment on
I want to comment.
that? Okay. Let's have an interactive.
We have had this question before, and the teacher answered it in this way. He said they have not learned anything.
Yeah, it could be. Sometimes somebody's working too hard. They think you're not supposed to sleep or something, and then they sleep during japa. So we have to help them. Sometimes because they're sick also. You have to understand many different things. And someone else, I thought you were going to ask more, but the Grihastha is asking, how can you, you're working all the day, how can you be thinking of Krishna? But Bhaktisiddhanta and the Bhagavad Gita explains that actually through and through. It depends on what your goal is of what you're doing, and why you're doing it. Someone can be, have a mundane job and they have to associate with non-devotees, but they're using the fruits of it, to practice devotional service, and their goal is to surrender everything to Krishna. They will make advancement. And if someone else is very busy directly serving, but their consciousness is somewhere else, and their goal, they're doing it to get recognition or fame or, profit, they won't get the same thing.
This particular verse is talking about Mayavad, and even if you practice this sadhana, eventually your intelligence will kick in, and you'll achieve the goal, which is Krishna. So a couple of devotees asked Prabhupada variously, how should I be chanting my rounds? And Prabhupada just said, please try to hear your rounds, hear your mantra attentively. So if you're not hearing attentively, on the other hand, then sometimes the tendency is just your mind floats away. Very often your mind may float away to the surface that you're supposed to be doing your pens. So there's no, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has all kinds of different categories of what it means when you're thinking of this and what it means if you're doing that. And I don't remember which book it is, but if you look...
Harinam Chintamani.
That's Harinam Chintamani.
And there's the Madhurya Kambinini by Vishwanath. It's similar, a little more deep, but same thing. All the different kinds of inattentive chanting.
And then
They all have Sanskrit names.
Chanting, thinking of your service also. And that's also inattentive, because you're not hearing the mantra. The mind may go all over the universe.
Yeah, multitasking.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
I've heard a lecture by H.H.KaviChandra on different types of inattentiveness, and I've heard there's inattentiveness in the mode of ignorance, which is when you feel drowsy and you feel sleepy. Inattentiveness in the mode of passion, when your mind wanders. And then there's inattentiveness in the mode of goodness, which is just this kind of apathy where you're attentive, but well, it's not done with feeling, basically. That's what I've heard. So for myself personally, I feel that if I do this first inattentiveness in the mode of goodness, then it very quickly leads to the second and the third, and before I know I'm sleeping, and so I don't know.
Yeah.
How can you constantly be praying?
Well, that's why we need association with devotees, and if you notice, like Satchidananda Swami he had a lot of japa retreats, and gradually he went to more kirtan. The japa retreat was including a lot of kirtan, and he found that kirtan, it's much easier than japa, but big kirtan with many devotees, where we more or less kind of forced to hear and develop more of a taste for the holy name, and then it's much, japa becomes much more relishable if we have a real taste for the holy name. But it's a prayer, the Maha Mantra is, please engage me in service. But if we don't have a service attitude, how can we chant attentively? We'll be averse to, we may be chanting, but if we want something from Krishna besides service, we're not going to be able to really chant attentively, properly, and we'll be distracted by many other things. Or we'll start to think, well, I'm not getting, I'm chanting and I'm not getting what I want, because Krishna won't give you something that will be detrimental to spiritual advancement. So the service attitude, I just heard Vaisheshika this morning to serve like Hanuman or something. It was quite a far out lecture, as usual, but Hanuman had completely selfless service. He only thinking of serve Ram. And that's what we need, is a service attitude. In Sanskrit it's called seva vritti. We just want to serve. Prabhupada only asked 2 questions to his spiritual master, or 1 question, 2 times, right? What was it? How can I serve you? Got the same answer both times. So he took it up. And he said that was his success. He had no qualification. Said some other godbrothers who had apparently very big qualifications were sent to Europe, but they didn't do anything. They spent a lot of money. Prabhupada went with absolutely nothing, saying, I have no qualification except, I have complete faith in trying to follow the order of my spiritual master. So when we read about Prabhupada, especially getting the Bhagavatam published in the beginning, in India, what he was so difficult, so many problems, no money, nobody helping him, but he was always blissful because he was trying to fill the order of his spiritual master. He had no other desire. He never complained, well, I need all this first. He just did it. And then and when he was first in America also, so much difficulty. Not much response. I read that diary in New York, Today, so-and-so was supposed to come, but they didn't come. 1 person came, 25 cents collected or something, It's interesting. But he was always just sometimes when he was staying in Scindia steamship dormitory there, he would come back and she would ask him, how was it today? He'd say, oh, today was really bad, nobody. But then right away he'd say, but tomorrow's going to be better. he was just ecstatic to just try to do the order of the spiritual master. So he showed us, and from very beginning with nothing to being completely successful and still, surrounded by hundreds of people glorifying him, still being completely humble and never asking for anything except service, never trying to get anyone to do anything except serve Krishna. And up until leaving his body, just busy serving, preaching. So we have examples. We saw here recently examples of so many devotees who, gave so much, but they didn't feel at the time, I'm sacrificing everything. They were in ecstasy to please Prabhupada because of love. When people look back and think, how could anybody do that? Even the devotees who did it don't know how they did it. Right? Like New York Temple in the early days. Huh? Yeah. New York Temple was no heat, no hot water, no sleeping bags for almost most of the devotees. They went on Harinam with, like just a dhoti, and it was a different one every day. If you got some socks, you were lucky. If you were the first one there to get the laundry coming out. And somehow or other they would go out, and people were amazed to see them. But they said after a while they didn't notice the cold, they didn't know. But they didn't somehow care. They were so ecstatic with the chanting and knowing that Prabhupada wanted it. A good example. Okay, any other realizations? Anybody can tell us how to chant attentively? Maharaj, how do you chant attentively? What's your secret? Huh? You've been chanting for a long time, so there must be something, right? And not such a nice place sometimes. Not easy place.
To chant attentively, one we should pray to Buddha and Krishna. Prayer. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, O Vaishnava Thakur, alone I have no strength to change the holy name of Krishna. Therefore, I'm begging you with a little faith, please give me the treasure of the holy name of Krishna. Prayer. Second, confession. We must express our weakness. We want somebody to help us. We should tell what is our problem. We should openly tell Guru and Krishna, this is my weakness, this is my problem. So confession is important, prayer is important, crying, very important. We cry not from the eye, we cry from the heart. Who will cry? The person who is feeling, like Srila Prabhupada said, I cannot do anything, but you brought me here. You brought me here for a purpose. If you want me to dance, please let me dance. This is sincere helplessness the devotee is expressing to his spirit, especially Master Krishna. When we sincerely begged, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur said in Jiv Jagat song, I begged for the holy name and I received money. This is my secret.
That's very good. Vaisheshika, once someone asked him, what does the mantra mean? He said, it means I need help. Helpless. Begging, that, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's book, The Beggar. we had to realize that we're hopeless, and only Krishna can help us. So begging Krishna, please, you give me service. Chanting is service. So we want to constantly do that. And if we can understand the importance of chanting and set aside that time for only chanting, then other things go much easier. And if we don't do that, other things become very difficult. Right? Anybody ever experienced trying to do things, I can do this, I'm expert, I know how to do this, and what happens? You know? Right? Fall on your face, right? The simplest thing becomes, I'm a great cook, and then the cover falls off the salt shaker or something. And right? Krishna helps you to realize that. Actually, Nectar Devotion says in everything we do, even the most simple thing, we should be begging Krishna, please help me, let me to do this. I don't know, I don't manage to do that all the time, but in a panic we'll do that, But I guess the most advanced devotee is always in a panic, Is that then he's always crying to Krishna, help me, help me, help me. And then you see Prabhupada was like that. You saw him praying to his deity, and someone asked him, he said, I'm praying that I won't fall down. And the devotee said, but you're a pure devotee, you can't fall down. Prabhupada said, that's because I'm always praying that I won't fall down. It's very far out, to think about. Can you do that? Can I be like that all the time? It's so dependent on Krishna, but then look at the results. Only because he had that, humility. We can't enter Vrindavan we can't chant without humility. So that we should try for. Trinada Pisunichi. And it's so simple, Lord Chaitanya gives it. But it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not so easy because of the false ego, because of this pride. And I learned a few things from the Bible when I went to Sunday school. And one I remember is pride goes before the fall. And I looked that up recently. Of course, now there's so many translations, but they'll basically say that. But similarly, humility goes before. Humility produces prema, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the Chaitanya Shikshamrita book. It's towards the end, that prema is produced by absolute humility. But that's what we have to work on. Service attitude will produce humility, and Krishna will help us. Anyone else want to comment? Or question? Okay. Thank you, Parvati. Yeah, she's always trying to find somebody to give the class. Also taking care of the Samadhi building, which, like any other building, needs a lot of maintenance. And a lot has been done now to upgrade the whole atmosphere around there. 500 some people yesterday were chanting one round, right? Did they actually take beads and chant? Or they just walk? Yeah. Steps. So they walk around and chant one mantra per step. So they get a taste.
And then they have a Namahata. They have a Namahata program near that office. So they do a lot of preaching and they get them. What's that? So the people on the radio don't feel isolated. So the upstairs from the Samadhi, they're chanting japa on the lotus flowers. And then on the other side, you have the Namahata program. And they take people, mainly they take people in their office, or they take them upstairs and preach to them with the changing bodies diagram. and then they take them back down in the Namahato office. They have more than 10,000 people on their telephone list, and they keep in touch with them. They have a couple of men who do nothing but call these people up, and because they've begun the process. They have them chanting in that office also, but I can't convince them to get a clicker and record how many people they have chanting.
Wow.
So
That's fantastic.
It took a few years to get it developed because.
But that's really amazing, the follow-up, because
Yeah,
that's where we've been very weak in the past.
Yeah,
You know, if people don't come back, and that's it, you know.
yeah.
We don't know where to find them even.
And they have home programs, and they have people sign up and they follow up on those. It's a wonderful program. And any of you, all you have to do is at least say Hare Krishna to some of those thousands of people who are coming in that gate.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have time to do anything else, and they feel reciprocated.
Yeah, just say, you know, Hare
They
Krishna.
feel something, it's personal or
Welcome.
personless. Not that we're just chanting around something, we ignore the people that are coming in. It's too much botheration.
So many are coming, it's amazing.
And you can give them books, but there's nothing like a little personal contact. Not that you're just waiting for them to take out their wallets. Just give them a few kind words, and it's very, very nice. It establishes a wonderful relationship.
Yeah, and also any devotee you see from, a lot of devotees are hanging around also, and we should.
You'll never regret any small amount of preaching that you do. And it becomes very enlivening, and you want to do it more and more. I have a lady who stands almost every evening in the samadhi, and anybody who comes in that door, she gives them like a 1 minute interaction and gets them all to chant Hare Krishna, this ones, and then they go on to the rest of the program. A lot of people, they don't have time, but at least that's what she
Then
does.
Srimati comes and just gives out her mantra cards to everybody and tell people to chant. We can do that anywhere in the world. People like it. Mantra card is a very important thing. Everybody should carry them with their name and phone number. And anyone, taxi driver, anybody, say, well, just chant this, you know.
Actually, upstairs they have, with the lotus flower
Yeah.
chanting, they have like 5 or 6 Indian languages. They have different mantra cards in different languages. They've really developed their program.
Yeah, really, different
They're
alphabet.
very enthusiastic.
Well, they're thinking about it, and Krishna gives, you know. So all we have to do is just think, you know, I want to do this, and start, and Krishna will gradually give us intelligence or send someone else to do it. Prabhupada said, I didn't do anything, but Krishna sent artists, Krishna sent this, Krishna sent that. You know, Krishna sent so many people, but because he wanted it done, you know. And of course we give full credit, but he was always humble, so he gave all credit to Krishna. But that works for anybody. We see so many projects around the world. Someone just sticks it out, you know. I've learned that a little bit. You know, I had some places where I really just thought it's never going to happen, you know, but I can't quit, you know, that would look bad for me. And somehow or other, all of a sudden, things start happening, and I don't even know how. Because somebody keeps trying, and, you know, and we pray to Krishna, please, you have to help us. We can't do it ourselves.
Devotional
That's
service
Balaram,
is
Prabhupada
unlimited.
said.
Just unlimited.
I remember that, so I like to come to Vrindavan every year and try to pray, because I went on the walk the day after the installation, and that's when Prabhupada said that, now Balaram is here, and if you have any problem, any difficulty, you can ask him and he will help you. He will give you strength. So, you know, I made it one more year, please, you know. And he does. And Nityananda, of course, is Balaram, and then he manifested absolute mercy and will help anybody. Vishnujan told Nanda Kumara once that just ask Lord Nityananda, and if it's good, he'll give it, he'll help you. And he wanted to be Prabhupada's servant. And he didn't want to say anything or ask anybody. But then all of a sudden he said, they called him in and said, you're going to be Prabhupada's servant. You know, he was afraid to ask or say anything. He was thinking, who are you, you know. But all of a sudden, you know, some other servant left and somebody said, well, he can do it. And many, many things like that have happened to all of us. We have here everything we need and get empowered. Now everybody, Prabhupada said we come to the Holy Dham to recharge our batteries. Of course we understood that, but now that everywhere we go, the first thing we're looking for is a electric, you know, to recharge something, right? Isn't it? You know, you constantly have to recharge something. But at that time, rechargeable batteries was not a common thing. Yeah, it wasn't what Prabhupada was predicting. But we have our spiritual batteries, that's how he said. They get worn out, you know, from working on the nasty places. We come here, and if we really hear and chant here and serve devotees, then we get recharged and can somehow go out and carry on blissfully in all kinds of apparently un-Krishna conscious environments and make them holy dhams. So thank you very much. It's maybe a little over time. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. And yesterday was Jayapataka Maharaj's